Watch KSTV weeknights at 7:30 and 11 Eastern, and anytime with Insight on Demand on Channel 103.
Now today actually marks the last day of the KSTV Casting Call semifinals, and we're happy to be joined by our 15th semifinalist, Stan Norfleet. Stan, how you doing?
TJ, I'm good, man. What's going on with you?
Not much. You know, back in Lexington, you were dubbed the favorite in this competition. I think Drew Franklin said that he hoped, he felt one day he was going to be watching you on SportsCenter. Do you feel any pressure coming with that favorite status?
What pressure? Yeah. I feel like LeBron last night. What pressure? It's all right. I've been doing some reading in the past time, so no, it's good. I mean, I'm blessed to be here, and I appreciate Drew making that comment. It's been an outstanding experience. I think that I can bring some good things to the table, and we'll see how the chips fall, but I certainly appreciate him making that comment.
Hey, we're excited to have you here. Now, you, of course, have a football background. We talked a little bit about that. Right off the top, the UK football team, I know in your audition, you talked about they needed to make some progress. You had a plan for it. Yeah. This week, they unveiled that they had done some minor renovations at the Nutter Center. They had painted some walls. They put some pictures up. When you heard that news, did you say, all right, we're moving in the right direction? Or did you say, this isn't what we're talking, this is not close? How would you feel when you heard that news?
Well, what you're talking about is the priority list. Yeah. And certainly that was one of the things that was a little bit further down. There are some things that I'd like to see knocked out first, but as Mitch has communicated on more than one occasion, he's paying for everything cash. So when you talk about a reasonable commitment level from an investment perspective, this was some good cosmetic and aesthetic changes that the recruits are going to feel, mom and dad are going to feel when they come over there, and the players themselves are going to feel. Oftentimes in renovations like this, we forget that the current players need to feel some love too. So this is going to be paramount in helping them feel good and know that the program can go in the right direction.
Paying cash like LeBron. Mitch Barnhart living like LeBron too, paying cash. But the football team, I think what bothers UK fans is not that they're taking a step back. That's part of it. But you look down the road and Louisville is taking a step forward with Charlie Strong. Now, they're in a different conference. They have different facilities, different ways of doing things. But I think what gets them really excited is Charlie Strong. He's selling a brand of football, maybe not the style of play, but the recruits, the attitude. Kentucky, if you look at the football program, what's the point of optimism right now that you sell fans? I'll let you, what's the point of optimism, you think?
Well, I think first you look at Joker's body of work. I mean, essentially, in the last 10 years, under Coach Brooks, you're talking about winning 46% of your games. Joker's won 44. We're only a game off from what Kentucky is accustomed to being at. So I'm not ready to press the panic button like some of the naysayers are. But when you talk about what to be optimistic about, it's young players. Each year over the last 5 years, I believe, they've gotten a better recruiting class. It takes time for those players to develop. This isn't like Coach Cal, where one guy could come in and instantly he changes everything. It takes time in this game of football for players to develop. So when you talk about Maxwell Smith, when you talk about Darryl Collins, when you talk about Ferriton Hugan in the defensive end, Alvin Bud Dupree, who I love, much shout out to my linebackers. I like my linebacker play. So there are some very good young players that just need time and opportunity to develop. That gives me reason for optimism.
Yeah, and John Calipari actually had a plan where he talked about maybe playing this triple header with Joker being a part of it, the football team. And when I heard that, I thought it was interesting because he doesn't have to do that. I like seeing that he's kind of helping the football program out, get some attention. When you hear that, I guess from the football side of it, but also the basketball side of it, taking a game away from Rupp Arena, playing these games, do you think that this is a good event for the school as a whole, or would you prefer to see these games on campus?
This is a win-win-win if you talk about a triple header. For the women's basketball program and what Coach Matthew Mitchell is doing, it brings a heightened sense of attention. People across the country are going to continue to watch not only what Cal is doing because he's leading the charge, but also the women's program, which 2 Elite Eights over the last 3 years is outstanding. From a football perspective, it's also a home run. It allows Joker Phillips to go into other markets and to establish his stake and a presence to let people know that I'm here to recruit. Me being a Charlotte native, I feel like the Carolina game is a perfect game to play a triple header. Carolina football has not been significant per se over the last 10 years or so, but it's still a competitive enough game that I feel like a Friday doubleheader and a Saturday football game would be perfect.
Yeah, I agree with you. Actually, Kansas is what people have been thrown out there a lot. I don't like that because I don't think there's any really passion behind Kansas football. North Carolina is a competitive game for UK, and they have a passionate fan base, I think, reasonably passionate. But you talked about Matthew Mitchell, John Calipari, Joker Phillips. You played sports, obviously, at a high level. Mitch Barnhart talks about success breeding success. Are you a believer in that you get one program doing well and it carries off? Well, Matthew Mitchell's, Joker Phillips. Do you think that works?
I do. I really buy into it. And what better case than what happened at UK this year? Tennis, softball, baseball, basketball, both men and women's, rifle, everything caught fire this year. And I think that football is on the verge, granted with reasonable expectations, of being able to do some of the same things. So I do think it's infectious and it can go viral in an instant.
Yeah, and expectations is a word that you hear that, you think UK basketball. And after winning a national title, you got a little bit of room, I think. UK fans will give you a little bit of room. But coming up, they've got an entirely different roster for the most part. They're going to have an experienced point guard for the first time, and at least under John Calipari. Kyle Wiltshire returns. You got some freshmen, but after that, there's not really a lot of depth. Do you think that they're playing 6 guys, maybe 7 guys? Are you concerned about the depth going into the season, or do you think John Calipari's done it with 6 guys and we can do it with 6 guys again?
You can only catch lightning in a bottle so many times. I think at some point you're going to be what you are. I am concerned about depth, especially on the front lines. And I hear that with Willie Cauley-Stein catching some attention. He's been one of my favorites in the beginning, because he played football, so I got to make sure that I get that in there. But I think on the front line, if you talk about something happening to Nerlens Noel, if you talk about Willie Cauley-Stein maybe not panning out, all of a sudden we don't have a player other than Wiltshire who is not a true post player. I get very nervous about that. And if you compare that to what happened to the 2011 team, we struggled most with teams that had an inside presence. So I don't think we have enough depth at this point, but you got to play with what you got.
Right, and they're still ranked in the top 3. You know, everybody's putting them around 3. Some polls have them 2, but Indiana, clearly the #1 team coming into this season. When I look at college basketball this year, it's so different than last year. There are not as many great teams. It's kind of more of an open field. Do you think that Indiana is a clear-cut favorite, or is there a case that Kentucky actually enters the season as the best team?
I think Indiana will enter as the clear-cut favorite, but I actually like, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but U of L to me is the better team.
The experience, is that what?
Well, it's a lot of things. When you talk about their depth, they can score, they're long, they're well coached, they play in the Big East. They are prepared to make a run when it counts. The point guard play is outstanding in what Seaver did last year. The schedule, I mean, I could go on and on and on. I don't think that they'll beat UK, but I do believe at the end of the day, they'll be right there in the hunt for the Final Four in the national championship.
Yeah, and it's going to be maybe the best year of basketball in this area between Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, and I know everybody's looking forward to it. We are too.